Self-evaluation. We must continually evaluate our motives and behavior in the light of God's directives in the Word of God. Here's Gene to explain.
What we have here is a passage that relates to the previous act of disobedience on the part of Abraham in terms of his father, in terms of Lot, the grandson. And it's Genesis chapter 13, verse 5 and 6. Now Lot, who was traveling with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land was unable to support them as long as they stayed together, for they had so many possessions they could not stay together. Isn't that an interesting predicament? Now, did God know that that problem was going to come if Lot went with him? That's one reason why God wanted to save him this problem. I personally believe that. But he took Lot along, and Lot became a thorn in his side. Then Abraham said to Lot, "Please, let's not have quarreling between you and me, or between your herdsman and my herdsman. We're relatives. This is ridiculous. Isn't the whole land before you?" And here we see how magnanimous Abraham was. "Separate from me. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left." And another way he was saying is, if you go east, I'll go west. And so Lot looked out to the east. And what did he see? He saw the entire Jordan Valley. And if you go to Israel today and you look at the Jordan Valley, it's green, it's lush, it's close to the Jordan River, down towards the Dead Sea, where the Jordan River dumps into the Dead Sea. As far as Zoar was well watered everywhere, like the Lord's garden, and like the land of Egypt along the Nile. If you've ever been along the Nile, you know what happens when the Nile overflows. This was before God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Because you see, Sodom and Gomorrah were there in the Jordan Valley, as far as we know, close to the Dead Sea. So Lot chose the entire Jordan Valley. Boy, that's being grateful, isn't it? Uncle Abraham, you brought me down here. I've been blessed with all these things because of you. You deserve the Jordan Valley. I'll go west. You know what was west? The desert. And then Lot journeyed eastward, and they separated from each other. Painful situation for this man, Abraham. But you see, it does relate to the fact that God knew, I believe, that Lot would be indeed a thorn in his side. And now he's reaping the result of disobedience. He made a decision. It was noble to take Lot as far as being a relative, but God said, no, leave your family. Leave that paganism. Leave all of that. 2 Peter 2:8, by the way, gives us a real insight because Lot became a true believer. Because Peter refers to Lot, says, "For as he, Lot, lived among them, that righteous man," because of what he did? No, because he had the same faith as Abraham and God counted him for righteousness. That righteous man tormented himself day by day with the lawless deeds he saw and he heard because of that choice to go down and live near Sodom and Gomorrah. And we know what happened to Lot. We'll talk more about that. Principle 6 in 1 John says, we must constantly be on guard against worldly influences that dull our love for God. And boy, did that happen to Lot. And for one another, and interfere with our capacity to know Him and our fellow Christians at an even deeper level. 1 John 2:15-17, do not love the world or the things that belong to the world. Lot loved the things of the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in him, because everything that belongs to the world, the lusts of the flesh, boy, there was plenty of that in Sodom. The lusts of the eyes, the Jordan Valley. All these great material things. The pride in one's own lifestyle is not from the Father, but is from the world, and the world with its lust is passing away. But the one who does God's will remains forever. And so the question is, what are some of the things in our own environment that constantly tempt us to make decisions that will lead us to love the world or the things that belong to the world, and how can we avoid following Lot's negative example? Well, we've already talked about how to avoid it. We've got to renew our minds. We've got to think right thoughts that are based on God's thoughts. But the things around us in our culture today, it's been with us for eons, but materialism is pervasive. Look what materialism has done in our culture at the highest levels of government, the highest levels of business. Look at the greed that has contaminated our culture. It's almost unbelievable if you don't understand the old nature and the Adamic nature and sin. I've always thought, democracy is one of the greatest systems on earth, but is very imperfect because it's based on the fact that if you're going to make a democracy work, you have to be honest. And democracy will not work if you're not honest. And we're moving into an era of dishonesty and greed that's going to destroy the very thing that has made us great. And we're in the middle of it. And the important thing is we can't let it take control of us. Materialism, sensualism is everywhere. It's unbelievable what is happening in our culture and our society. Through the internet, through Hollywood, through all of the stuff that's going on. We're living within it. How do we stay out of it? We've got to renew our minds. We've got to think right thoughts. Guard our hearts.